Happy New Day, everyone. Thank you for tuning in and watching. In this video, I am going to be sharing some information that deals with the way in which our planet is going to be impacted starting tonight. It's October 29th, 2016, and running all the way until December 24th, 2016. So for about 2 months, we are going to be impacted heavily by two activations that are pretty much on their way to the planet right now. I did a video last year in November called The Code Behind Thanksgiving, and in that video I explained why our planet is so busy during the week of Thanksgiving. And I talked about the two activations that come to our planet around November 21st, I believe, and last that whole week of what we call Thanksgiving. So whether Thanksgiving existed or not, that wouldn't change the activations and how they affect our planet. So what I've learned over the last few weeks about the activations that are coming starting today, I was pretty surprised because it adds a whole new twist to the way in which we are going to experience the holiday season. And for those that don't participate in the holidays, you're still going to experience the same impact and energy. So we're all going to be affected as a whole human race. Everything on this planet is going to be impacted by these activations, and it's also going to affect certain organs within our bodies. So I have done my best to gather my research and information and package it together so that I can be as thorough and clear as possible when it comes to breaking down what you all can expect for these next couple of months. I have a story, and I see this story as a confirmation to what I'm going to be explaining in this video. And this happened around 3 o'clock this morning. I woke up to a man and a woman arguing outside of my house, and at first I thought I was dreaming as I was slowly being awakened from my slumber. And when I finally came to, I realized that, oh, okay, I'm really hearing people like arguing. And I looked out the window, and it was a young man and a young woman. They looked like they had just came from the club, and the young lady was upset with the young man because it was her birthday. So I guess they had went out and celebrated, and something happened to where she was upset with him, and he was claiming that she took his car keys and his house keys, and he was trying to make her give him back his keys. And the police were called, and the police just kind of let them continue to argue without really getting out the car. And then, you know, as I'm watching, I'm noticing the escalation of the energy between them. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, wow, this is really interesting, because this is exactly what I have to talk about in the video that I'm going to be doing on these two new activations, which deal with willpower and high emotions. And I was just watching, and it really went to a whole nother level in emotional extremes and anger and frustration. And eventually the police, they got out the car, and, you know, they listened to both sides of the story. And then another police car came, and two more police officers hopped out, and it was so much anger and confusion that you really didn't know who to believe. But the girl, she had the car keys in her hand, and she had one of her girlfriends with her, so it was kind of like two women against this one guy. And it was interesting to watch at 3 o'clock in the morning. And what ended up happening was the police got a call for something more important, and they left. And the girl hopped in his car, the two girls hopped in his car and drove off, and the police just kind of left him there. So he couldn't get in his house, and his car was gone. So yeah, it was a perfect example of emotional extremes with the force of willpower behind it. So eventually I went back to sleep, and I said this is a perfect story to begin this video with, because it's exactly what we all can expect to see in these next couple of months. So yeah, that was that, and I'm gonna go ahead and get into the video right now. All right, so here we go. As you can see, we are on the transit date of October 30th, 2016 at 12:09 a.m. I'm going to change that to 12:10. And as you can see, these two activations just lit up. This is what I'm going to be focusing on for this video. Now, these two activations are coming from what's called the nodes, the north node and the south node. And the nodes are not planets or any type of physical body in the solar system, but these are positions in the sky. The nodes represent the way in which we are moving as a collective when it comes to the transit. So the south node represents our past. It represents our comfort zone and what we are used to based on the past. The north node represents the future, and that's all about the evolutionary trajectory that we all are taking as a collective. Now, from gate 40 to gate 37, it creates what's called the channel of community. And the channel of community is very, very important, because this particular channel is what has dominated our global cycle for the last 400 years. And the channel of community is the frequency that we have been under since the early 1600s. So what I'm going to do is explain what gate 37 represents and what gate 40 represents. And for those of you who have your human design chart, or if you plan on looking up your human design chart, this channel is very common in a lot of people's individual blueprints. So everything that I share with you about gate 37 and gate 40 and the channel of community that it creates, this is going to apply to you as an individual and the way in which your life is going to operate as a whole. I've made a list of the times of year to where it is guaranteed that the planet will be activated with the channel of community. If you were born around February 24th through February 29th, May 25th through May 29th, August 27th through September 2nd, and November 24th through November 30th, these are all dates to where the channel of community is activated on the planet. Now, there may be other people, there are many other people who were not born in these time frames that have the channel of community. So in order for you to know, you will need to get your human design blueprint. You can get it from me. You can get the full professional human design chart, or you can go to jovianarchive.com, and there are many other people who do human design, and they have an option to get a free human design chart on their website. So you can just go to any search engine, type in human design, and check out other people's websites and find plenty of people to where you can get a free human design chart. Now I'm going to start with gate 37. And gate 37 is called the gate of friendship. And this is all about family. This is all about affection. It's all about loyalty, bargains, sex, food, comfort, cuddling, and even oral sex. Oral sex is a big part of gate 37. And it's located in the solar plexus. That's what this brown triangle represents, the solar plexus. The solar plexus is the center for our emotions. This is the center for where we have many ranges of feelings, such as happiness, joy, anger, frustration, hatred, all of the many different emotions that we experience are located here, as well as when it comes to intimacy for reproduction and for connecting with sexuality. It's also located here in the solar plexus. Now, this particular area is a very hot area, like literally, like physically, temperature wise hot. So the solar plexus has what's called a mechanical wave. And this will help you all to understand how emotions operate on the planet. As of right now, the solar plexus does not have any awareness, which means that the way emotions operate in us as human beings, there is no awareness behind it. But the solar plexus operates in what's called the mechanical hope to pain wave. And what that means is that there is a never-ending wave that goes from up to hope, down to pain, up to hope, down to pain, and it never ends. So when it comes to understanding feelings and emotions, the most important thing to know about the way in which your feelings and emotions operate is that there is no truth in the now. And the reason there's no truth in the now is because in order to gain clarity and to have awareness and understanding about your emotions, you have to wait over time for the mechanical wave to pass through its cycles. So this is an example of what usually happens with people. Let's say that somebody has a defined solar plexus, or they have an open solar plexus. Some people have, when they look at their chart, your solar plexus looks like this, it's colored in. For other people, it's white, which means that it's undefined. So that means that it is open to being conditioned and hijacked by somebody else's emotions. Let's say that somebody is at the hope part of the wave. So the top part of the wave, the happy part of the wave. And somebody invites them to go out. If you have a defined solar plexus and you are at the hope part of your wave, and you make a decision before waiting for the mechanical wave to complete its full course, what's going to happen is when you make that decision while you're feeling good and you're feeling hopeful and happy, after you make that decision and you actually get into whatever the situation is, the wave is going to drop. And when the wave drops, it's going to go to the pain part of the wave. And it's going to go to the sad and angry part of the wave. and you'll be in the middle of doing whatever that activity is that you made a decision to do, and all of a sudden you're going to be very moody, you're going to be very emotional, and you're going to think that it has something to do with the person or the activity itself, when in fact it's just the mechanics of the way our emotions operate as human beings. So when we see situations that globally affect us and trigger groups of people to get angry or frustrated or sad or display all of these emotions as a collective, it really has nothing to do with the situation itself. It's the wave, the fact that there is no awareness within our emotions. We're just experiencing hope and pain, hope and pain. And because it's never ending, whenever we experience hope, we associate it with whatever is in front of us. And when we experience pain, we associate that with whatever is in front of us. So the solar plexus is very powerful when it comes to controlling the way in which people operate and controlling the way in which situations play out within our lives as individuals and within our families, within our communities, and many other aspects of our lives that deal with being human. Now let's talk about gate 37 and the different characteristics that gate 37 brings to us as human beings. Gate 37 is all about affection. It's all about family. It's all about the massage. It's all about being communal and loyal. And it's also associated with sex, food, comfort, foreplay, and bargains and expectations of, if I do something for you, I expect you to do something back for me. Now, each one of our DNA codons has an exaltation and a detriment. So for those of you that want to call it a positive and a negative, or a good or a bad, whatever works for you is fine. Let's talk about the negatives, the detriments of the gate of friendship. Gate 37 represents weakness. It represents the force of the male psyche onto the female psyche. So when it comes to the inequality that we see between men and women, it's coming out of gate 37. Later on, I'm going to talk about the channel of community as a whole, because gate 37 has its attributes, gate 40 has its attributes, but when you put those two together, it forms something much bigger. And the channel of community, which is what gate 37 and gate 40 create, is what's called the marriage contract channel. Marriage comes out of this particular channel. So looking at gate 37 alone, gate 37 is all about the social structure that we have been in since the early 1600s. This is about the family unit and the fact that when it comes to the family unit, there is hierarchy. And there always has been for the last 400 years. And that hierarchy comes from this outdated idea of physical strength. So of course, when we look at men and women, we understand that men are naturally physically stronger than women. And that is where this hierarchy of men being the head of the household has come from, within the activation of gate 37. This also creates the emotional charge between men and women. So there's a natural inequality between men and women, and there's an emotional charge that has been created based on that, because this is coming out of the solar plexus, the center of emotions. Now, this whole structure that we're in is coming to a close. This global cycle began in the early 1600s, and it will end in 2027. So as we can see, when we look at the things that are changing on our planet, we can see that everything that deals with community and support, and this whole idea of the marriage contract, everything that deals with that whole infrastructure of society that we're dealing with, all of that is starting to fall apart because of the fact that this particular global cycle that we're in is coming to a close. So we're in the last few years to where the channel of community and this marriage contract and this whole idea of bargains and communal efforts and support, all of that is coming to a close, and we're moving into a new global cycle that is all about independence and individuality. And we can clearly see that is taking place. So there's going to be less support when it comes to groups and organizations and communities, and there's going to be a continued rise in people expressing their uniqueness and their individuality, because you can't stop the way evolution is set up. Now, along with the marriage contract that comes out of Gate 37 and the channel of community, we also have organized religion that comes out of Gate 37. As we can see, when it comes to organized religion, a lot of people are stepping away from that as well. And that is a natural part of this global cycle ending and us moving into a more individual way of operating and thinking. The fear that is built into Gate 37 is the fear of the lack of support. And that fear is becoming more and more evident because that is exactly what's taking place. There's naturally a breaking down of support because of the changes that are taking place on our planet. The way in which Gate 37 is expressed inwardly is through inauthentic giving. So for those that have this in their blueprint, and for all of us who will be experiencing these activations through the transits for these next couple of months, there will be this feeling of the need to give. And for some, it will be authentic. And for others, based on your frequency, it will be inauthentic. And when it comes to the inauthentic giving, this is based on those who claim to love others, but they have an inability to stand up for themselves. So they're overly emotional. And being overly emotional is emotionally draining to others. So there's a lot of fear and there's a lot of addiction to emotions that comes out of Gate 37 in a way in which people inwardly express the energy within this particular activation. When it comes to expressing this energy outwardly to others, these are people that throw fear-based ideas out into the world and always claim that life isn't fair and life doesn't give them what they want, or things aren't going their way, and all of these things that deal with not being happy and satisfied about the way their personal life is going. So what tends to happen as a result of that is these type of people that express this energy outwardly, the detriments of this energy outwardly, is they're meanies. They're mean people, they're hardened, and they naturally take advantage of good-natured people. People who are more of the authentic givers and people who really do care for others and humanity and things like that, these type of people who feel that life isn't fair, these people will take advantage of those who are the ones that are caring and nurturing types. Next, I'm going to talk about gate 40 coming out of the heart center. Gate 40 is the gate of aloneness. And this is all about denial, isolation, and being alone. The way in which gate 40 works when it comes to being in operation with gate 37 is this coming out of the ego center. This is the gate that represents the worker and the ego for tribal purposes, for community purposes, for family purposes. So gate 40 pretty much says, hey, I want to be left alone, but to get the massage from the 37, I will put my willpower towards the family. So I will work for the tribe as long as I get my massage and my affection from the 37, which is what the 37 is good for. So gate 40 is what maintains the community and keeps the loyalty within the community. And the loyalty is the only thing that gate 40 is vulnerable to. Gate 40 is saying, hey, I want to be left alone, but then here comes the 37 and they're all about bargains and loyalty, and the 37 says, well, I'll give you a massage, I'll cuddle with you, I'll give you all of this affection and all of this loyalty if you let me get some of that ego and get some of that willpower. So that makes the 40 vulnerable. And that's what makes the 40 cooperate with the 37 to create the community. Now, the heart center is not aware. So you have the solar plexus, the center for emotions, no awareness there. You have the heart center. The heart center has no awareness. It just pumps. It just pumps ego. It pumps willpower. So it has no brain, no awareness. And one of the things about willpower is that it can get exhausted. The willpower will pump without that awareness, but eventually it gets tired. And when it gets tired, it has to take a break. So it gets worn down. And because the heart center is connected to the solar plexus through the channel of community, you're dealing with the stomach and you're dealing with your digestive system. If the heart center puts too much force and too much will into the community and into the family and into the tribe without getting its breaks, then the body is not going to be able to convert the energy from food properly, which is going to affect not just the stomach and the digestive system, but it's going to affect the kidneys and your adrenals as well. And this causes acidic bodies, which also causes premature aging. So for people that have gate 40 or gate 37 or the channel of community, these are things to think about if you have this in your blueprint. For those that are listening to this video and understand that all of this information will apply to you for the next 2 months, is really something to think about, because within 2 months of having defined heart and a defined solar plexus and not being able to do anything about it, these are the issues that can arise within these 2 months based on these transits. Now, when it comes to the detriments of gate 40, the gate of aloneness, the way in which this energy is expressed inwardly is these are people that do not set boundaries for themselves. They have this willpower available. They're naturally going to have people, usually the 37s, people who have the 37s, they're going to have those people pulling at them, trying to get the willpower, trying to get that ego. And because they don't set boundaries for themselves, they put their heart and their will and their ego into situations
majority of the time, organizations and tribes and groups, and they don't get anything back, and they don't get the breaks that they need for their heart center. So we already know, if you don't have any boundaries and you're pumping too much of your willpower into others and into the community and into the tribes, we already know the effects that that can have on the body. When it comes to how this energy is expressed outwardly, this is expressed as rage. This is expressed as anger. And it's not just any type of rage and anger. This is rage and anger that comes from your childhood. So most of us on the planet have stored emotions and stored anger and stored frustrations from things that have taken place to us in childhood that we never resolved. So that means that having the whole human race activated with gate 40 for the next 2 months, it's a high possibility that we're going to be seeing more rage and more anger being expressed. And because there's no awareness, it's not like people are going to know that the rage is really coming from their childhood. The rage and the anger is going to be expressed based on whatever is in front of them. And whatever that situation is, or those situations are, it's not going to have anything to do with the rage that's being expressed. It's just going to be the trigger to get it out. So not only do we get rage expressed outwardly, we get extreme arrogance, a lot of arrogance out of this gate. And just like in gate 37, in the detriment, in gate 40, we get from that arrogance people that use other people for their own benefit. And because this is the gate of aloneness, these are people that will literally cut off their support. They will cut off gate 37. They will cut off their community or their tribe or their family, and express disrespect towards others as well. Now that we've broken down the two aspects of the channel of community, gate 37, the gate of friendship, and gate 40, the gate of aloneness, now we can put those two activations together and understand what the channel of community is all about. The channel of community is the marriage contract. This is all about protecting and nourishing our communities, our families, and our tribes, and our groups, and our organizations. So for those that have this channel in their design, and for the rest of the planet that will be experiencing these activations for the next 2 months, you may find yourself being driven towards communal type situations. You may find yourself all of a sudden being interested in fraternities or sororities, or something that deals with being a part of a tribe or family or an organization. There will be high emotions and low emotions, and it will all be powered by will and ego and consistency. So we are going to experience more explosive behavior because, of course, we're going to have people that are at lower frequencies than others, and majority of people will not be aware of what is actually taking place with these activations on the planet and how their bodies are being affected. We can expect to see more arguments. We can expect to see more conflicts between families and tribes. We can expect to see higher emotional instability. We can expect to see more physical energy being used, more oversensitivity to different situations. We can expect to see a rise in people having issues within their digestive systems. And because this is the holiday season, we're going to see, of course, much more food in families and households. there's going to be much more pressure being put out by people onto other people. There are going to be higher expectations that people have of others. There's a high possibility that for those who are in relationships and may be engaged or in relationships and thinking about getting engaged for marriage, in these upcoming 2 months with these two definitions, there will be a higher drive to get married. So there will probably be more people proposing to their significant others. And for those that do get caught up by the channel of community and feel that loyalty and that bond and that drive for community and family, if you don't naturally have that within your design, don't be surprised if you regret taking that step after these activations leave the planet, because it's a high chance that people will do a lot of things dealing with securing support and family and bonding and communities, and it's going to go away after December 24th. The channel of community is also interesting because it's specifically set up for the purposes of keeping reproduction balanced. So the 37 represents friendship and family and sex, food, comfort, bargains, loyalty, all of those things. And then the 40 represents that rejection, that denial, that refusal to put in work unless it's getting that massage. And the way in which this channel operates when it comes to keeping the balance within reproduction is it has created a way to have affection and to experience marriage without creating babies. So this channel is also known as the channel of foreplay. This is a channel where oral sex comes from. This channel is all about touch and sensitivity, cuddling and affection. And it's the channel of foreplay because through doing these things and through oral sex, you don't have to deal with getting pregnant. So if this channel wasn't in play, there would be many more babies on the planet, many more people on the planet, because there wouldn't be anything to genetically balance out this tribal need for family and support and resources and community. So that's what we get in the channel of community, the pleasure principle. Pleasure without pregnancy. And that's what we see in marriage. We see that in marriage, when it comes to the genetic responsibility to reproduce, that is usually taken care of earlier in the marriage. When the energy is high, the genes are still magnetically attracted to the opposite within the partner, and the bodies are saying, let's reproduce, let's make these babies. Once those genes get used to each other, once married people kind of get used to each other, that spark and that flame naturally balances or dies out. Because a lot of times when two people come together for marriage or just for a relationship, and they have that loyalty, they have those bargains, they have that sex, food, and comfort, they have that oral sex, they have, all of the things that come with saying, hey, I'll provide this affection and this massage if you provide this willpower and this work to keep our tribe together. When you get that, eventually it just turns into, okay, we're together because the tribal needs have to be met. And because of the evolutionary changes, most women aren't trying to pop out babies for their whole lives. So there's a pleasure without pregnancy structure built in to keep that from happening. So for those that will experience these energies as wanting to be closer to your significant other, or even being driven to get into a relationship within these next 2 months, just be aware, because you may end up feeling something completely differently once this transit is over. And a lot of people are going to jump into situations to help others and be a part of something. And the fact that this is the holiday season, people are going to feel more of what they call the holiday spirit. And they're going to think that the holiday spirit is the reason behind this genetic and physical drive to be a part of communities and tribes. So because of the many different aspects with these activations and the channel of community, we're going to see a wide range of expressions of these energies all over the world based on the different situations that people are in. For those people that are experiencing a higher frequency of living, this is a good time to take advantage of these community and tribal energies that will be affecting us. The exaltations of gate 37 and gate 40 and the channel of community is that you will be able to establish alliances with people that are beneficial for all parties involved. You'll be able to create boundaries for yourself that are healthy and that are good for individual growth as well as communal growth and family and tribal growth. There will be equal exchanges of energy between communities. And through the boundaries that are set, the healthy boundaries that are set, there will be a stronger ability to say no and make sure that you are not giving your energy away to others and exhausting yourself and exhausting your willpower and causing issues within your digestive systems and kidneys and the other aspects that are affected. Saying no and denying your willpower when you need to rest is very important, because everyone needs to give to themselves at times. We're here together. So you'll never have to worry about being by yourself or being alone. There will always be other people to give to. So make sure that as you're experiencing this willpower, that you set those healthy boundaries and you be mindful of how you can negatively affect the way in which you function on the inside. You will also be able to experience relaxation on a deeper level when you set those boundaries and learn how to say no and deny access to your willpower when it's time to give back to you. And through that relaxation, you will create a balance to where you don't exhaust yourself, and it brings balance to your tribe. It brings balance to your community and to the organizations that you are involved in. Also, by establishing alliances and understanding equality and equal exchange between communities, there won't be any hierarchy. There won't be any competition. Naturally, the way in which this channel operates in detriment, it's all about control. It's all about tribal control. It's all about the haves and the have-nots. But when you're operating at a higher frequency with these energies, there's less control and more giving. What we usually see when it comes to communities, we see communities isolated. We see this tribe over here that thinks that they're better than this tribe over there. We see separation within tribes and families and communities and competition. But on a higher frequency, there can be more integration on a global and a geographical scale of communities and tribes and families. There can be more resources that are exchanged, more opportunities that are given for people, and a wider network for everyone that's involved. There are plenty of community resources available, and at the lower frequencies of these energies, it keeps people from having access to support and to the things that are needed to keep the family structure tight and in a healthy state. So for those of you that resonate with the higher frequencies of the channel of community, this is a time that you can maximize on building and growing your network and expanding your community, expanding your tribe, expanding your organization, and being more open to giving, knowing that you will receive, as opposed to feeling that there needs to be this hierarchy and this rulership and this idea of my community is better than yours. So to do a recap on everything that I discussed, from gate 37, the gate of friendship, gate 40, the gate of aloneness, and together making the channel of community, I'm going to start with the solar plexus and understanding that our emotions operate in a hope to pain wave with no awareness. So when you find yourself hopeful and happy and in high spirits, allow yourself to experience the lows that will come from the drop in the mechanical wave. And when you experience those lows, don't take it personal. Don't blame it on what's in front of you. Don't think that there's something wrong with you. This created term called bipolar is just simply the mechanical wave. So in essence, we all are bipolar. All of us. We all go up and down, and it never ends. That's just our nature. So for anybody with a defined solar plexus, even if you don't have these activations, and for those that have an open solar plexus, you will be hijacked and defined by a transit or by somebody that you know. You will experience emotions and the emotional wave regardless on whether or not you have it defined or not within your blueprint. So in order to get truth and clarity, understand that you cannot get it immediately. We have to experience the ranges of the hope to pain wave in order to see if something is good for us or not, to be able to emotionally connect with it. And that's why we also see people that come together and immediately jump into a relationship because the emotions are high. And as that wave goes up and down over time, people start to realize that what they felt in the beginning that they thought was happily ever after, they realize that, oh, after going through these up and down emotions with you, you may not be the one for me. So it's something to keep in mind, and a very valuable piece of information for everyone out here to understand that when it comes to anything that you're trying to gain clarity about and truth about, you have to be patient. You have to allow yourself to go through the cycles and go through the different ranges of emotions to get the understanding and the feeling that lets you know that something is correct for you. The heart center, it's all about ego. It's all about willpower. It's all about consistency, and it needs a break. So make sure you don't exhaust yourself. Make sure you set those boundaries. Make sure you say no when you need to so that you can relax and give your heart some rest so that it can be healthy to continue doing what it does best for the community and the tribe and the family. To have this heart center pumping emotions, this is going to be very destabilizing for a lot of people on the planet. And even with you knowing this, it doesn't mean that you're not going to get flustered and find yourself feeling really over the top emotionally at times. But at least your awareness will help you and keep you from losing it and allowing that willpower to take you to a place that is not physically, mentally, or emotionally healthy for yourself. Channel of community, the marriage contract, protecting and nourishing our communities and our families, organized religion, the inequality between men and women, and the emotional charge between men and women, loyalty, bargains, promises, sex, food, comfort, support, inauthentic giving, being overly emotional, being mean to others, taking advantage of caring people, arrogance, being disrespectful towards others, cutting away support, and your family. Be mindful of your stomach, your digestive system, your kidneys, your adrenals. Be mindful of the food that you take in this holiday season, and making sure that the energy from your food is converted properly. Be aware of allowing your bodies to get too acidic. Pay attention to your skin. Pay attention to your energy levels. Be aware of the premature aging that is possible, and make sure to relax. The emotions are going to happen. The willpower behind the emotions is going to happen. Allow everything to pass, because it will. When you have your lows, the highs will come. And when you have your highs, the lows will come. It's okay. Don't stress yourself out this holiday season. Don't go over the top with the gift giving. And make sure you watch the code behind Thanksgiving, because when you take everything that I've said in this video and pair it with everything from that video, we're going to have a super duper power packed Thanksgiving week this year. So the 2034 with the 4037, take your time. Be aware. You're going to want to rush and be all over the place, and some of you all might feel like you're losing your minds, going crazy. But at least you know. If you watch this video, at least you know, at least you have a heads up. And it's okay. It will pass. As you can see, the time and the date, 12/24/2016, 12:15 p.m. At 12:16, our nodes will shift and we will break the channel of community. So I hope you all found that helpful. Thank you all for tuning in and watching. Free your mind to shine. Until next time.